Wadi, during Harris's trip to the border this week, and she's claiming this, she takes the issue of the border crisis very seriously. Watch.
There are consequential issues at stake in this election, and one is the security of our border. The United States is a sovereign nation, and I believe we have a duty to set rules at our border and to enforce them. And I take that responsibility very seriously.
When you hear those words from the vice president, who's been in office for almost 4 years now, working alongside President Biden in the Biden-Harris administration, what goes through your mind, Wadi?
Well, I think it's so funny that Kamala Harris is running on the fact that she's saying she's never backed down for a challenge. But when it comes to immigration, I don't think she ever stood up to the challenge. I don't think she ever showed up to the challenge of immigration, right? It's real cute that in the last 40 days coming up to the election, you want to show up at the border. But where's her track record? Where's her track record of actually playing a role where she was assigned by President Biden to actually help stop the flow coming in from the Northern Triangle, from El Salvador, Guatemala, from Honduras? Where's her track record? Where are the numbers, right? We should be able to look at the numbers prior to her being assigned by President Biden, and we're supposed to be able to look at the numbers after she was assigned. And the reality is, when you look at those numbers, there continues to be a flow of people coming in through the southern border. So her plan and her, again, sort of title of saying, hey, I'm going to stand up to this challenge, proves weak, in my opinion. Yes, she's now saying some of the right things. She's talking about adding border agents. That's something that the Border Patrol Union, that's something that advocates in Texas and across our country have been saying. Matter of fact, speaking of the Border Patrol Union, when she visited, they were the ones fact-checking her. They were the ones saying that many of the accomplishments that she says that she and her administration put together were not stuff that she did. It was stuff that was already in motion from the Trump administration. Again, saying the right things, not doing the right things. I think the American public need to look at her record and not just her words in the last few days.
Charles, Kamala Harris sitting down with MSNBC, blaming former President Trump for the crisis at the border. Here it is.
Donald Trump got word of the bill, realized it was going to fix a problem he wanted to run on, and told him to kill the bill, don't put it up for a vote. He killed a bill that would have actually been a solution because he wants to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
So your reaction to that, Charles, there was a border bill and Republicans worked very hard on it, and it was tanked. Attribution, to the former president, whether that's right or wrong. What do you make of that? And then also, why do we never hear about Mike Pence's border? We hear about Vice President Kamala Harris's border, but nobody was asking what Mike Pence did for the border. Is that fair?
Well, as far as these bills go, H.R. 2, Secure the Border Act, passed almost a year before this Senate bill was ever brought. And what it did was reinstituted all of former President Trump's policies that were working. And oh, by the way, unlike the Senate border bill, it did not decriminalize illegal immigration, which is exactly what that Senate border bill does. It allows for a quota of allowable illegal immigration into the United States. And look, as far as giving Kamala Harris any additional resources, they have proven the past 4 years they can't be trusted with manpower. They can't be trusted with more money. Billions of dollars are going to non-governmental organizations to aid in the trafficking of not only adults, but how about these 350,000 children, unaccompanied minors that are missing within the interior of the United States? We should pass a law that says Customs and Border Protection can't be used for campaign photo ops 120 days out from the election. This is an insult to law enforcement around the country as cities are becoming inundated with criminals and suspected terrorists. These are the facts. She's not going to fix it.
Well, there's a major concern coming from one of the richest men in the world. That's Elon Musk. He's taking to X, putting out this post saying very few Americans realize that if Trump is not elected, this will be the last election. Far from being a threat to democracy, he is the only way to save it. Let me explain. If even 1 in 20 illegals become citizens per year, something that the Democrats are expediting as fast as humanly possible, that would be about 2 million new legal voters in 4 years. The voting margin in the swing states is often less than 20,000 voters. And that continues on. Again, that from Elon Musk. Wadi, is there any accuracy in that concern?
You know, I hear where Elon Musk is coming from. I see what he is getting at. And I think I would say this is why all elections are so important, but also our Senate elections, right? Anything that would change the way of how individuals become voters or who's a voter. I mean, these are things that are ingrained in our law. You can't just change them from one day to another. But that's why we need to make sure that when we look at our Senate candidates, when we look at our presidential races, that we're mobilizing to go out and vote, because we want people who are going to make sure that the laws that we have are enforced, because that's a big part, not just on the immigration side, but when we talk about voter laws, when we talk about reforms in both of these areas, we need candidates and we need elected officials who are going to stand for the laws that we do have, but that are also going to look to tackle our immigration system and make sure that we have a system that is both welcoming to legal immigrants and that has a viable, effective legal immigration system that helps our country, that actually contributes to the United States, that makes us competitive with places like China, with India, but also one that enforces the laws that we have at the border, that gives the resources to those individuals that we have. Because yes, these elections will have consequences. Elon Musk does talk about a grave concern that many people have. We do not need to get to that point if our elected officials are enforcing our laws and we have the right candidates in place.
All right, Wadi Gaitan joining us, as well as Charles Marino. Gentlemen, thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Pleasure.
A lot of other developing stories we are following for you right now.
That's right. Alex Kramer is live in studio with your Newsmax News Minute. Hey, Alex.